Good morning, good evening, good night, whenever you're watching. Welcome to my yearly wrap up for 2019. I'm gonna showcase the best of what I found in 2019. 2019 was pretty good year for metal detecting and finding goodies overall. Um, it wasn't as good in terms of silver, but it was a bit better in terms of finding gold than 2018. But let's start with some non-metallic finds. First thing, let me show you this. Let's put it down here and zoom out a little bit. Big antler shed that I found this spring while on the hand with depth spader. My first one ever. Hopefully I can get another one day. Alright, let's put it away. These tiny little things, found it on my trip to Florida. Uh, fossilized shark teeth. I wanted to find one of those big ones, but I'm pretty happy with the small ones. Hopefully next time I can go out and hunt for those big megalodon teeth. Anyway, let's move on to glass. In terms of glass, I did get a lot of glass this year, but most of the glass that I found, bottles, jars, were not actually found. They were either bought or exchanged for, etc. So I may show those some other time, but today I'm gonna just concentrate on the stuff that I actually found in the ground. So just couple nice little bottles. This one I really like. This one, probably late 1800s. Nice little medicine, tiny medicine bottle. Really nice color. My first ever pawn-tilt bottle. As you can see, there is a glass pawn-tilt on it, probably from about 1850s. Okay, let's just put it down here. And at the end of the year, I found this one. It's a Toronto bottle from 1882. Unfortunately, either due to the construction movement, or because of the frozen ground and my inability to extract it, I was missing the top. Still pretty happy about finding it. Hopefully in the spring, which is almost there, I will be able to go look for that top and hopefully I'll glue that. Alright, so we're moving on to more metallic finds. I'll show you my jars of more common finds. This jar, we get clad. As most of you know who metal detect in Canada with MineLab, you can find clad, but generally clad does not sound very good with the Equinox. So most of these are surface finds. I got about $50.25 there. In the second jar, my US clad, I think there's like $21 in there. One of them was the I can never pronounce it, Sacagawea 2001. Pretty cool coin. Actually, it's my third ever US dollar coin, and they're not really common finds in US either. I think people don't find much more than I do. Jar of wheats. Wheats are the most common US coin you can find in Canada. This is one of the older ones, I think. Oh, that's a mine 1909 that I found this year. Yeah, this one, I don't think that one was with VDB. I do have a VDB. Actually, let's take a look. Was it a VDB? Let's zoom out on this. Actually, I see VDB. Yes, that's a 1909. Let's zoom out. 1909 VDB. Unfortunately, it's not S, but it's still cool. In the next container, about 50 of these George V pennies. That's the first small cent in Canada. Prior to 1920 we had large cents. This one's from 1928, and they ran from 1920 to 1936. In 1937 George VI took over. Anyway, talking about George VI, here is a half jar full of George VI. Here is an example of George VI coin. This one has some nice coloring to it. This one's from 1941. Also, I did dig one George VI 1943 penny from Newfoundland. I think that's this one side is crusty, but King George VI is wearing the crown for Newfoundland. Anyway, that's only my second one ever, I think. Next jar is young list pennies. There's quite a lot of them. Young portrait of Elizabeth. So they were from 1953 to 1964. And right there in that jar, I got all the nickels. Actually, not all the nickels. Those are all the newer nickels that were still made out of nickel. All the Canadian nickels until 1979 were made of pure nickel. So I put them away, as the nickel content is actually worth more than 5 cents. The rest of my nickels are here. Those are the older types. I got a couple of V nickels, 1943. This one's actually steel nickel. Not much left of it. You can see I think it was octagonal, if I'm not mistaken. I think I found it in a spill with other nickels. And there's a couple of elusive George V nickels. Probably the best coin design from Canadian coins. Most people would agree. Most detectorists really like to find these. Really nice coin. Let's take a break from coins and take a look at some relics, etc. So these toy cars, they're all from London Toy Company from the 40s. I think mostly from the 40s. This is definitely my favorite. There it is, London Toy pickup. They're all made in Canada, in London, Ontario. So I'm pretty happy to have them, even in not so great condition. They really display nicely. Alright, the rest of the relics. This is a pin from early 1900s convention. I don't really remember now what it was for. This is probably my best preserved makeup compact. Probably from the 20s, I would say. Really nice design. Unfortunately, there is nothing to indicate the maker. Maybe there was a paper label on it that disintegrated, but it did preserve really well. The second ever Weezer toy. I was a little zoomed in, so mid the 1800s bullet. Don't find many bullets. This probably relatively early badge. I did not find out. I don't think I did. I didn't find out exactly what it was. It's still an enigma, but it really looks nice. This is really nice pen, very Art Deco. I really like this one too. This is a award for, I believe it was for badminton, from the early, I think 1906, if I'm correct. For doubles, yes, there's 06 on it. That is really cool find too. I found it the same day I found a silver thimble, my first ever silver thimble, which you will see shortly. Some more military finds. Canada badge. This is a captain's I forgot what it's called, cap badge. And another one, I think this one's World War One. I apologize, I don't remember all the details about all the finds, and it would be a really big task to try to find out about these things and put that down in writing with so many things found. But anyway, this is a pen for veterans. It's really cool for serving in the front. It tells at the back about it has a number, and tells at the back about the penalty for misuse. Yeah, that's really cool. Some buttons. This is a Canadian militia button. Let's get a little closer. This is a hunting jacket button, I believe. Really nice. Also fairly well preserved. British military button. I think World War One. A couple flat buttons, I didn't get many this year. Canadian Pacific Railway button, small button, and this civilian button, a bit older, says something about Montreal in it, but it is a little bit different. I don't get a lot of old dog tags, but this is my oldest, 19 from the 30s, I think, 1937. And then another one from the 50s, I think, 56. Not a lot in terms of keys, no skeleton key this year, but I always like finding keys from Connecticut, where I used to live. So this one's fairly, they're usually early 1900s. Some non-precious metal religious medallions that were a little bit more cool. Tokens. This is the 1967 anniversary, Confederation anniversary token, I believe. Yes, Confederation 1867 to 1967. I got 4 of these. This was from the hand with Cashmo. Lucky Tether, or Tether. Hell Driver. Really cool token. It looks a little better. Hell Driver, lucky piece. I should put it in my car. Couple of Royal Visit tokens from 1939. Already have a few more of these. These are all modern, but this one's from Calgary, from the Tower, and this one from CN Tower in Toronto. So couple of high tower tokens, and some older ones. As from Pittsburgh, we'll recognize that. Pittsburgh Railway token from my trip to Pittsburgh. I mean, from my trip to Florida, stopped in Pittsburgh. This one I don't really know much about it. Couldn't find anything about it, but I think it's a bit older. Good for 5 in trade. And I think this one's my favorite because that's the only one I have that says half cent, 12.5 cents to be exact. So probably, I think this is from 19 Merchants Exchange, from 1930s, maybe 1920s. Let's move on. I got a little bit of foreign change. I actually do have some more somewhere else, so probably twice as much. All my British, earlier British coins. This is the Queen Victoria 1890s. This is KG6 1937, 3 pence. And the rest of them, that's it's a halfpenny, I believe. No, that's King George VI. It's crusty, halfpenny, I believe. And the rest of them, King George V. This one particular example from 1916. Pretty large coins. Talking about large coins, all my Canadian large cents, I think I got about 50, a little bit over 50 Let's pick a nice one so you guys can take a look. Well, that is not a nice one. This is KG5, King George V from 1917. Actually, the king side looks pretty nice on this one. Mostly they're newer. I did get a few Victorian ones. I think we got one here, Queen Victoria. Let me put some aqua sugar juice. Now it looks so much better. And this one's wiped. But they're pre-1901. And a few shot ones, like this one was shot. Well, one shot one. I got another shot quarter as well. Some other older coins. I don't really get a lot of, I don't hunt in that older grant a lot, so but I did get a couple of Upper Canada tokens. This one's from, and they were in good condition. This one's from 1852, very nice condition. That's the halfpenny. They actually made them in 1850, 1852, 1854, 1857, I believe. So they made them every second year. And this is the full-sized 1852 halfpenny. And that is a Bank of Montreal token. 1844, sorry. And I did get some older US coinage. 1848, large cent. Only my second ever American large cent. This one's in a little bit better condition than the first one. But the first one was Dre bust. So about 50 years, 51 years apart. Glad to have it. And couple Indian head pennies. I'm not sure about the dates. I think one of them, I got my first 1900s so far out of probably around 10 Indian head pennies that I ever got. Most of them were 1800s. And let's move on to silver. Bunch of rings. Nothing really too spectacular. I think this one, this tiny one, might be my favorite. It's not focusing very well. I do like finding those tiny silver rings, almost as much as I like finding the bigger ones. A bit of other silver junk, little silver bracelet, little silver sheriff. This little piece was from Florida. Part of a silver watch, bezel, and definitely one of the best finds this year. This beautiful silver thimble. There's marking inside. I don't think you guys are gonna be able to see it, but this is definitely one of the better, rarer thimbles to usually that they're not of that intricate design. One little tiny little pin, I think it's from the Toronto Bible College. Let's zoom on this. Yes, it is. Zoom out, and this is sterling from peddler people. That was a big sheet metal company that went out of business in, I believe, early 1980s or 70s, and I think it was in business since late 1800s or even mid 1800s. Anyway, let's move on to more silver. All my US silvers. Unfortunately, I'm missing, or I can't locate, my second ever barber dime that I found in Pittsburgh. But overall, that would be 5 US silver coins. And my first ever old silver half, first ever American silver half, and first ever barber larger than a dime. Technically, in my third barber found 1905S. Not a lot of value to it, maybe $20, $25 on a good day, but I'm happy to have it. Let's move on. George V quarters, not a lot of them. George V dimes, also not as many of them. My only half, my only Canadian half, and that's the third Canadian half ever, and they're all young Elizabeths. Before I go to the best coins, those are the quarters, and all the little dimes. They are the most common coin. Those are the George VI, young Elizabeth quarters, and same for the dimes. This little pile are the coins from 67 or 68 that are 50%. I did not get any 50% quarters this year. So total, I found 179 silver coins, and some of the best ones. Those are the ones that really Canadian metal detectors really like to find. Half dimes, the fish scales. They're really hard to find, quite elusive, because they're so small. And I have how many? 6, 4, 8, 14 of them this year. Not as many as last year again, but there's some good age. All of these are Victorian ones. I think this one may be in the best shape. Has a little dink on the top. This one's from let's see, 1892. I think there are some earlier dates. Let's see. We got time, don't we? This was 1890 something. This one I remember is dateless. Let's see this one. This one's 1886. It's a little small 6. I should look that up if that has any meaning. Anyway, 4 King Edward coins. Edwards usually get pretty used up on the Edward side. This one's actually not too bad. They wore off pretty quickly. This one's 1907. let's move to some of the best coins this year, best Canadian silver coins. I did get pretty lucky on Victorian quarters. I did get lucky to get this pretty decent King Edward quarter, also in a really good condition for that coin, from 1906. And the Vickies, I think most of these Vickies are unfortunately relatively common dates. This one's 1872, so this is actually my oldest Canadian coin this year. Oldest Canadian silver coin from 1872. Pretty wiped. This one is the rarest. This is the 1891. Unfortunately, has quite a bit of staining. It's not too bad of a coin, but it does have a lot of staining. Maybe I can work on it and see if I can improve it just a touch. This one's from 1881. And the last one let's see, 1883. So 4 Victorian coins, Victorian quarters, that is really, really good. And we're gonna finish with gold. So like I said, this was my best year for finding gold. In terms of rings, I got 3 gold rings. This one is a 22 carat, also my first ever gold ring that I found in the water. This one's about 5 grams. That's 10 carat, about 7 grams on this one. And this is another one about 5 grams, but it has some diamonds. It has those little bolts, so you don't lose them, but whoever had this ring did anyway. So pretty good year. I'd say what about $700 Canadian here in the rings. As you know, metal detecting is not really get rich hobby, but it's nice to know that I don't know, probably I got about, let's just say $1,000 here in finds, in silver, mostly silver and gold, because you can't really put a value on the relics. Most of them are not really something I would want to sell anyway. But it's good to know that you find something occasionally that has some value. Anyway, I appreciate everybody holding on with me up till up until this point, and I'll see you on the next Night to Finder adventure. Take care and have a great week.